I'm not sure if you're ready for an executive assistant. All I can do is give you feedback on how I knew I was ready for an executive assistant. The first thing that I knew it was time for an executive assistant is when I really just couldn't keep up with the day-to-day meetings and following up with those action items. As you kind of progress and the team grows, there's more people that you have to talk to on a day-to-day basis. And a lot of those conversations, if they're intentional, there's action items that follow that conversation, whether it's you or, action items that you need to follow up on with the other person. And at a certain point, I just knew that I was falling short on a couple different things throughout the week that ultimately, it may not have been super top priority, but it was still important that I get that done. And, that was really the first time that I realized, hey, my workload may be, a little too much for me to handle on my own. As an entrepreneur, you want to handle all that stuff, especially if you're starting your own business. You want to kind of take on everything yourself and think you can do it all, but there's definitely a point in which you can't. And it's important to build the right team around you to make that happen. And ultimately for me, I have a great founding team. We have great leadership. So, it wasn't necessarily like I had to find another position on the team to help me get that stuff done. It was more so on my personal team. I had to get an executive assistant that was right there with me in all my meetings, knows my day-to-day, helps me manage my schedule, and just takes, those things that typically, bog my schedule down, or, those quick communications. It just helps streamline all of that so that way I can be efficient in how I'm going about my day-to-day, but still making sure that I get everything done. And Lily has been a great help with that. She pretty much handles all my scheduling now. She makes sure I get through all my action items. She actually yelled at me to make sure that I film this content. So, in a bunch of different ways, it's helping because she's making sure that I'm being held accountable, just like we hold everybody on the team accountable. And that's a big part, it's really helped just really push us to that next level. But I will say, if you don't have a plan, having an executive assistant is really not going to help. It's just going to be another person on the team that you have to have those communications with. And if you don't have a plan on, what priorities they own, how they're being measured on those priorities, and ultimately what they're focusing on, it's just going to cause more headache than not. So what I would recommend is don't hire an executive assistant until you have a plan. But if you find yourself, not getting to certain priorities or certain tasks that you need to do on a frequent basis, or if you have things that you're just not getting to at all and you need, that extra help, I would definitely look into hiring an executive assistant to help, fill the holes that you need filled.